Sean Meyers of the Westmoreland Sports Network, joined by Dave Keefer, who recently resigned as the head coach of the Greensburg Salem football team. And Dave, first off, I know I've dealt with you for many, many years during your time guiding the Golden Lions. I know that this was a decision that did not come quickly or easily. So first off, talk about what factored into your decision to ultimately resign.
Well, Sean, I think you've been around it long enough. I think you understand the amount of time and energy it takes to run a successful program or just to run a program in general. And when I step back and evaluate it as the years have gone by, my kids are growing up and, my kids really have not known me as anything other than a head football coach. So it's going to be a tremendous adjustment. My daughter's 11 and my son is 13, and I've been here 10 years. So, I'm sitting here looking at a mug as I speak, and it's all pictures of, us together in football. So, it was a big decision to make. It's what my childhood dream has always been, to be a head football coach. And, it wasn't something that we took lightly, but collectively as a family, we felt, sitting down, we were to a point in my life where, my son's going to be a freshman next year. He's in 8th grade right now. And, realistically, I have him 4 more years at home, and the first of 10 years or so years that I had the opportunity to be with him, I haven't been able to be around him in the fall. And for a large part, a lot of times throughout the course of the year, and both of my kids are active in sports. And, I told the guys when I met with them, it wasn't something that I was walking away and quitting on them. It was just making the choice of being able to spend it with my family for a few years. And it's hard. It's hard. It's a hard decision because I enjoy it, but I enjoy that more, to be honest with you. That's what made the decision very easy, is knowing how much I care from our family. And that's why that decision was made.
So we're talking now in late November. You're a little more than a month removed from the end of the season. When Greensburg Salem played its last game of the 2022 season, was this something that you already knew could be an outcome?
Yeah, we entered the season. My wife and I talked after last year. Last year was a rough year, and we had some bumps and bruises as we went throughout the course of this year. And entering the year, I kind of sat with my wife, and we talked about it and where we were going to be in the next year or so. And I love coaching, and I want to continue to do it at some point, somewhere, somehow. I'm not sure what it is, and I don't have any plans for that right now. And I'll just kind of let the path take me where I want to go. But her and I even talked before the year and said, hey, we're getting to a point where you're going to start missing out on things that you want to see the kids do. And to this point, I've missed a lot, but I've also been able to kind of look the other way. And so when I went into the year, that was something that was in the back of my head. It didn't change the way I did it. It didn't change how we went about our business, but it was something I took into consideration. So I wouldn't say my decision was made. And I know a lot of people approach me, and I always believe that you want to step away from it for a period of time and collect your thoughts and weigh the positives and the negatives and decide what the best option for your family and I think the program needs it. I think the program, as much as I've loved doing it and as many great things as I feel we've done with the program, I think a lot of times change is a good thing. So I think it's a good decision on my end to be able to spend it with my family, but I think it gives a fresh start to those guys on our roster and gives them a fresh look at approaching things.
Well, I know you said that you've accomplished a lot that you're proud of during your time at Greensburg Salem, 10 years guiding this program as the head coach. And I know you spent many years as an assistant before that as well. What do you think comes to mind first as your greatest accomplishment or maybe your fondest memory as a head coach?
It's the kids. The number of messages you get from guys that you coached is why you do it. When I got the job, I really felt that we could turn the program for a much better path. And that's not to say it was in a bad place when we took it over. But I really felt we had some 8, 9, 10 win seasons. And I know Casey did a great job and Coach Kemmer did a great job before that, but I felt we could turn it as a consistent winner. And I don't feel we ever accomplished the success rate that we wanted to. And I guess the longer you do it, you start to recognize it's not all about the W's and the L's as much as it is in your heart. It's the guys you've coached. And the number of people that have reached out to me is it's amazing. It's amazing how many kids. And that's my greatest accomplishment, the impact I made on those guys, not just as football players, but as people. And, they're like an extension to your family. So, his greatest accomplishment is obviously the people you put into society. And that's why we do this. You want to be able to raise good young men and extend their family and reinforce those values that you have as a young man. And, I think we've done a good job of that. I think a lot of the families we've been able to come in contact might criticize maybe something we did offensively or something we did defensively, or I don't think they can find any criticism in terms of how we structured and organized. I don't think they can find anything to criticize in terms of how we cared and worked and provided for these guys. I think obviously the results are what people look at a lot of time, but when you get in behind it and you look at the quality relationships we built, the way we organized it, the amount of time and energy that myself and my staff put into it, I don't think there's a lot of criticism of that. And I think that's why we survived and made it 10 years. There's not a lot of staffs that make 10 years any longer. So that would be my greatest accomplishment. There's a couple of great wins we had that were, really, really fun and really, really memorable. We, had the 700 win. It was a memorable win. And I think you guys were there for that one. And, we beat Gateway one year, which was a really, really memorable one. And Montour one year, it was a really memorable one. But I always say to the guys, you don't remember the wins and losses. Those couple stick in your mind, but you remember the guys, and you remember the guy in the locker next to you. And that's how it is. That's what I believe as a coach too, is it's the faces you remember, not so much the games.
I know you said earlier you don't necessarily have it set in stone, but do you anticipate that someday you will be back as a coach in some capacity for football? I
love coaching. That when I was 15 years old, I knew I wanted to be a coach and a teacher. And like I said, this was my childhood dream, to be a head coach. So, I don't have a plan right now. I know I love coaching and I love being around kids. I love coaching football. I need some time to collect my thoughts and make decisions. But whatever decisions I make, they're gonna focus on my family. And if coaching can fit in there somehow, so be it. But right now, my two kids and my wife are the most important thing. And my parents are getting older, so I'm going to need to be able to help take care of them when they need it. So I want to be available for them because they've given me everything. So I think I'll coach. I don't know where it'll be or what it'll be or how I'll do it, but I am going to coach. I love that. And I don't foresee it in the near future, but when that happens, I'll trust my instincts on that.
Obviously, it's a very family-oriented decision. You've talked about that at length, but do you have any maybe hobbies that will get more time now that you'll have some extra Friday nights all throughout the fall?
Well, I bought a boat. I've never owned a boat, so I bought a boat, and we tried to try the boat out, and that wasn't real successful. So no, I enjoy. I grew up, in my lights just went out in the room. I've grown up in Mount Pleasant, and I've always enjoyed being in the woods and the outdoors. So I like to try to take advantage of that. But you know me well enough, Sean, my energy level's not real fitting for being a hunter. You have to sit still periodically, and I don't do that well. I like to ski. I'm a skier. So, we do a lot of that in the wintertime. That doesn't necessarily affect football. I don't have anything in line. I just want to figure out something different in life. I mean, since I was seventh grade, I started being on a football sideline. So, this is the thing that scares you, is it's a large percentage of my identity of who I am as a person. So, I have a lot of things that I enjoy doing. What they are, I'm not sure yet. I have to get past football right now and figure out what they are that I value the most. But like I said, my kids are both involved in sports, and a lot of what we're going to do is going to be trying to help them make the most of their abilities and have the best experience they can have as an athlete, so that they can learn some of the values that we've instilled upon our guys as we've coached them. So, hobby wise, my kids are my hobby right now. I did buy a boat that didn't turn out real well, so we'll get that baby on the water and hopefully be able to try to enjoy that a little bit this summer. But a lot of it's just going to be trying to find time to value those last few years that I have my kids while they're still at home, and do different things like that. No, football coaches don't have a lot of hobbies, Sean. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Their football is hobby. Their profession is football. Their hobby is weightlifting and training and practice. That's really what it comes down to. So, I've lost touch of what, some of the things I enjoy doing.
Well, a lot of those coaches, once they do finally step away, end up becoming TV analysts anyway. So maybe you'll have to reach out to Dan Flickinger and see if he can maybe squeeze you in every now and then.
Well, Flick texted me. He said, "Hey, thanks for everything." And I said, "Well, I appreciate it." And he said, "Well, hey, we're always looking for color people, to help out. And he said, you do really well at it. And I said, well, you got my number. I said, if you're stuck, let me know. And I said, that might be something I'd be interested in doing. But yeah, I mean, I love football and I'm not getting away from it. I'm going to find my way back to it. It's just right now, I need to be close to my family and my kids. And I tried to explain that to the guys. And I know a part of them understand that. And I think, as young men, they don't fully get it yet just because they aren't in that situation. And I don't expect them to do that. And I think one day they'll understand why I chose to do it. But yeah, for right now, we'll figure out what hobbies they are. If you have any suggestions, I'm going to mind it too.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I'll echo what Flick said. Thank you so much over the past several years working with us for all of our coverage as well here at WSN.
No problem, Sean. Thanks. You guys are always very gracious to us. So we very much appreciate it.
All right. That is Dave Keefer, who stepped down as the head coach for Greensburg Salem football.